From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordo, and this is your News 8 Daily for Friday, May 1st. We have made it to the first day of May, but it does not feel like it outside. It is a cool start. Morning showers could be possible. We're in the 30s. Highs will only be in the 50s today, and there is a frost advisory overnight. It will be a cold start Saturday if you're doing the mini marathon here in downtown Indianapolis. Reminder, you can go pick up all of your packet for running in that race this morning, starting at 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. tonight at the Indiana Convention Center.
Central Indiana. Wish TV is now live on YouTube TV and Hulu Live, offering more hours of local programming than any other station. Search for Wish TV or look for CW8 on both YouTube TV and Hulu Live to find us. Watch local news, sports, and lifestyle shows live from Wish TV. You can still catch Wish TV free over the air or stream it live on WishTV.com and on the free Wish TV mobile apps. Wish TV, available in more places for the latest news, weather, and sports.
There are new pictures in the search for a shooter in Bloomington after gunfire left 5 young women and teenagers shot over Little Five weekend. Police shared security camera photos from early Sunday morning. They say a fight led to the shooting on Kirkwood Avenue near IU's campus. Investigators tell us the suspect is a man who was wearing a backpack shaped like a shark. If you know who he is or have any information, police ask you to call them. You can see pictures of him right now on wishtv.com. The Supreme Court's ruling that race alone is not a sufficient consideration when redrawing congressional maps deals a significant blow to the Voting Rights Act. News 8's Kat Sandoval talked to a political professor at IU about the impact on people here in Indiana, so close to the midterm election.
In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that race alone is not a sufficient consideration when redrawing congressional maps.
The most efficient way to change the outcome is to change the rules. And what the Supreme Court has done, the conservative Supreme Court of the past 20 years, has been to very slowly change the Voting Rights Act to the point where it's basically been gutted.
The decision weakens a key part of the Voting Rights Act, Section 2. That civil rights era law has protected minority voters for 6 decades.
And so there are a lot of southern state legislatures that are going to be just jumping as fast as they can to try to redraw their district lines to maximize the chance that they reduce Black and Hispanic representation.
In Indiana, lawmakers are holding off. Even before the Supreme Court decision, the Republican-led Senate voted against redrawing the state's congressional map, despite pressure from President Trump.
We as electeds are supposed to be chosen by the voters. We as electeds are not supposed to choose the people that vote for us. This is a bad move and headed in that direction. And if this does spread throughout the country, it really is a bad day for democracy.
Democratic State Representative Earl Harris Jr. says redistricting would split up minority voters. The Hamilton County Republican chair disagrees. He claims it doesn't dilute minority votes, saying it doesn't take race into consideration.
What they were looking at doing was lumping a certain race in a specific congressional district. And I think that that's unfair because what that does is it gives different, criteria when creating maps and looking at certain individuals, depending on their race, differently than other individuals. And now every voter, indifferent of their race, will be treated equally.
With midterm elections coming up in November, some states may move quickly to redraw their maps. Indiana's lines will still stay the same for now.
I don't see it having an immediate impact. Here in Indiana, there may be a future impact long term.
I'm Kat Sandoval for Wish TV, wishtv.com.
A former daycare owner in Brownsburg has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for child sex crimes at her facility. Nancy Mitten, former owner of the Main Street University for Kids daycare, pleaded guilty to neglect of a dependent and failure to report. Prosecutors say Mitten failed to report an employee that was sexually abusing children at the facility. Gabriel Garner, the employee accused of abusing the children, and the facility's former director, Jennifer Ling Beck, are both due back in court later this year. Governor Mike Braun says early childhood education will be a top priority during the next legislative session. News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist talked to him as he visited a child care center in downtown Indianapolis.
The governor says he'd like to see more emphasis on the education side of childcare. Staff here at St. Mary's Early Childhood Center say those first few years are crucial to future success. These kids got a special visitor during their lessons. The governor says he wants to see how places like St. Mary's approach early childhood learning.
He seems to be committed to wanting to make sure that early childhood education is available to all families and that we can be part of the conversation going forward. And that was what we want.
And I'm looking at, where we need to, do better as a state and, pre-K, early child care learning, to me is something that they're showing us here what the results are, and I'm going to look to see how we can do that more widespread.
Staff here at St. Mary's told the governor the key is well-trained teachers and very small groups, fewer than 10 children per instructor. They say beginning instruction this early ensures the kids are ready to pass the I-read test in 3rd grade. The Braun administration drastically cut Child Care Development Fund voucher spending last year because budget analysts projected a major drop in revenue. That did not happen. The governor has since set aside $200 million for new vouchers until the next budget session. Democrats say he can start by funding universal pre-K and paid family leave.
Until I see a proposal that someone's willing to put political capital behind and fight for, I'm not going to hold my breath. But I do like hearing this from our governor. We've got a lot of work to do to make things better for working families and to make sure our kiddos have a chance to thrive.
So far, Braun is not saying exactly what his early childhood learning plan would entail. He says it probably will be more expensive than simply covering daycare, so he wants to see what works first.
I'm trying to see who's doing it best, how much it's going to cost, and how we can get it to the most greater number of families and kids, and with the focus on learning.
Radomski says she hopes the governor and lawmakers understand there's a lot more to this than just having someone watch the kids.
We need to incentivize as many places as we can to be providing as high a quality of education as they can for children so that we're sending as many children to kindergarten on grade level as we can.
Both the governor and lawmakers have time to strategize. The legislative session does not begin until January. In downtown Indianapolis, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
People here and across the country are feeling the pain of high gas prices. I know I got gas yesterday and it was almost $5. John Lawrence reports on the frustration.
The cost of gas in the U.S. hits a high not seen in almost half a decade.
I used to fill it up at $60, $80. Now I'm looking at between $130, $150.
After sliding down slightly for nearly 2 weeks earlier this month, the national average shot up almost 30 cents over the past few days, according to AAA.
People are suffering, that's for sure. I get a lot of people coming in, with $5 or $10, and that's all they can afford.
These increases are especially tough for workers who use their vehicles to get products from point A to point B.
We try to strategize our deliveries to make sure that we're planning efficient routes and, not doubling back on things so we can be as efficient as possible. But yeah, it obviously costs more to fill up the tank every time.
Some Americans are trying to save money by taking public transportation.
When fuel prices go up, we see more people taking transit because it is the most affordable way to get to where they need to go.
On Thursday, President Donald Trump said gas prices will fall once the war with Iran is over.
It'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down.
But in the meantime, commuters will have to deal with paying more at the pump.
Gas is not a nice to have, it's a need to have.
I'm John Lawrence for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Okay, here in Indiana, gas prices are above the national average. AAA says the average price for a gallon of gas is $4.42. In Indianapolis, it's $4.49. AAA says that is up by more than $1.30 compared to this time last year. Governor Braun says he is considering extending the state's break on the gas tax. The temporary suspension is set to expire next Friday. Braun says he will decide sometime next week.
I did decide to do a 30-day pause on the sales tax on fuel, and I'm likely to renew that. That was a 17-cent savings. Now it will be even more because the wholesale cost of gas has gone up.
According to the state figures, the use tax is now at more than 23 cents per gallon for the month of May. Turning now to the conflict in Iran, the Trump administration is arguing the war is over just ahead of the deadline to seek congressional approval to continue fighting. A Trump administration official says hostilities that began in February on the 28th have effectively ended since the two countries have not exchanged fire since a 2-week ceasefire began on April 7th. The ceasefire has since been extended indefinitely under the War Powers Resolution passed in 1973. The administration had until today to seek formal approval from Congress for military action to continue. While fighting has stopped, the U.S. is still blockading Iranian oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, and the countries have not agreed on a permanent end to the fighting. President Trump has signed a bill that will fund parts of the Department of Homeland Security. The president signed the bill shortly after Congress approved reopening key parts of the department, including funding for TSA and FEMA. The bill does not include money for ICE or Border Patrol. Caitlin Clark shines, but the Fever fall to the Dallas Wings in their first home preseason game. Clark led the team with 21 points, including a 3 off a pass from Shatori Walker-Kimbrough. It was not enough, though. The Wings take the win 95-80. Fever play in their final preseason game at home Saturday against the Nigerian national team. That game tips off at 7 p.m. It is officially the month of May, and that means we are 23 days away from the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. All 33 drivers just wrapped up 2 days of testing at the track earlier this week. Former 2-time champion of the 500, Joseph Newgarden, says it's important to learn from testing so teams can bring the best version of their car back to the track for qualifying later this month.
I think taking your time here is important. Trying to be really methodical. I mean, we've got some time to work on the car, so let's not push the issue. It allows you to experiment a little bit more without being in the full month of May. And then when we come back, it's the same deal, being methodical through the test sessions and then trying to get to qualifying and get that right.
Now the track is getting reconfigured for the road course and the Sancio Grand Prix. It's next weekend. Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar president Doug Bowles is going to join us in our studio here on Wish TV in our 8 a.m. hour to tell us more about that and this year's Indy 500. So please join us this morning. We also got a first look at the car that will lead the field before the green flag drops on race day. IMS unveiled the official pace car for this year's race. It's a 2026 Chevrolet ZR1X. Track officials say this year's car has a special red, white, and blue design in honor of America's 250th anniversary. Kind of goes with the logo for this year's race, too. Indiana University's national championship winning head football coach Curt Cignetti will drive the pace car at this year's race. Sports director Anthony Calhoun talked to Cignetti at the IU spring game about leading the field to the green flag.
It's a great event, and it's part of the fabric of the state. I can remember watching the Indy 500 growing up. So I just hope I can handle it.
Listen, you won't have any problem at all, but I know it's got to make you feel like there's got to be some excitement for yourself and your family to know that you're getting a chance to take part in the greatest spectacle in racing here, right?
No question about it. I'm looking forward to getting done with spring ball tonight and preparing a month from now for the Indy 500.
IMS President Doug Bowles says this is the 23rd time a Corvette model has been picked as the Indy 500 pace car. This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordo. Watch us on Wish TV and wishtv.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.